Hello, everyone. My name is Grant Brown,
My name is Mason Barrett.
and this is the Barrett and Brown podcast. All right, so here's the thing, right? Being a teenager in the modern economy is difficult within itself, but being a teenager in the modern economy who is also obsessed with cars is even more difficult. First
Because
of all,
everything is really expensive and nothing is ever cheap anymore, and we can't buy a house.
yeah, exactly. We should have been born earlier so that we could have just bought houses in 2008, but we can't do that. So there's no time travel. This is what we've got going for us. No investing in Bitcoin. No hacks left. We can't do it anymore. So stuff is difficult nowadays. It's hard, but I think one of the big things about being a teenager who's into cars is there's always a sense of fight with it. There's always a sense of rebellion, and nowadays it's starting to become more prominent because of the rise of electric cars. And I don't know about you, but and maybe I'll ruffle a few feathers by saying this, but you know, can you really be a car guy and like legitimately want an electric car for your first car? I don't know.
I
I don't
mean,
really
I
think.
mean, if someone offered me a Rivian for my first car, or not a Rivian, what's the other one called? A Rimac. They all start with R's. I
Yeah,
mean, I wouldn't
yeah,
say no.
yeah.
You,
Well, a Rimac. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't complain about a
do
Rimac.
you know how
But
much
that's the other
insurance is on a Rimac? I actually looked it up the other day, like a month
what.
ago or so. It's like $80,000 a year.
That's crazy, man. Jesus, man. What
Absurd.
my God. Well, that's the other thing, right? Is that being a teen, we just get charged such insane amounts for insurance that like we can't even function. Like we're gonna break a law either way. It's either gonna be speeding or driving without insurance, and I'm broke, so it's gonna have to be the second one, I guess, because like there's no we don't get any leeway
The other
here.
day, I
Like
was looking for a 64 Galaxy, and we're like, oh yeah, let's check how much the insurance would be for a 17-year-old boy, and it was like 1,050 a month or something stupid like that. And
my rent is like on that level. Like like I'm sorry, I don't live in this car, so I don't know what the deal is.
yeah, they
But
all just expect 17-year-old boys to just be millionaires, I guess.
exactly. Well, millionaires who obviously are going to wreck their cars within the first 30 seconds of rolling off the lot.
Which, okay,
So,
that being said, there is definitely an obvious reason on why dudes' insurance are higher than girls. It's just a
well, no,
fact.
yeah,
We drive more
absolutely.
aggressively. We're more likely to crash.
Yeah, like I mean, there's always been the whole stigma about like, like guys are better at driving and whatnot, but like I've never been able to understand that. We're we're idiots, bro. Like like we're like we're kind of dumb, but
Yeah.
at the same time, right? It's just like, does that really warrant so many premiums being put onto our insurance estimates? Like, I don't know about that, man. It's BS is what
Well,
it
you have to
is.
keep in
I
mind, insurance companies aren't doing it because they love people and they want people to be happy and financially sound. They're doing it because it's a business and it makes money.
facts. Well, I mean, I feel like that even that description there paints them as a little bit too humane.
Yeah.
Just a little
I
bit.
hate businesses
They're
that make money. That's why I work for B&B.
exactly Barrett and Brown Co. We don't make money. We lose money on every single sale that we make because we care more about the quality of our product than we do about actually making profit.
My
Anyway,
card got declined on Crumble Cookie yesterday.
hey, crumble cookie is kind of expensive
Okay,
though.
it
Like,
was $40 for a dozen.
yeah, well, yeah, that's a lot. That's like, damn,
It's like
$40 for a
it's
dozen
like almost
cookies.
$4 a cookie.
That's crazy. I mean, crumble cookies is like more. We're gonna get off topic, but crumble
Yeah,
cookie is like more like a cake. Like it's
it's a
not really
pastry.
a cookie.
It's a
Yeah,
pastry.
at that point, it's like a whole ass meal. There's a lot of calories there.
Yeah, I had
But
like four, and then my tummy hurt. Okay,
yeah,
speaking of your tummy hurting, let's go into the
okay.
first thing you want to look for when you're looking for your first car, and that's
Uh,
safety.
yeah,
Except some people
safe.
don't care about it. And I'm assuming
Um,
since you're watching this, you probably also don't care about it. But
yeah.
it's important because you also don't want your friends to die.
I
Well, okay. Maybe I'm speaking for
don't.
myself here.
I don't want my friends to die, but That's not going to influence the choices that I make about my own car. And that's why the first car that we're going to talk about today is the first generation Fiat 124 Spider.
Oh boy, here we go.
So Mason's going to take the reins after this, but I want to talk a little bit about the 124 Spider and why it is an amazing choice. First of all, it has really cool. Yeah. So
it does have really cool.
First of all, penned by Pininfarina. Those are the Ferrari guys, by the way. So, the Testarossa, and that's the
all the
other cool Ferraris. I'm blanking on Ferraris that Pininfarina designed, but trust me, there's a lot of them. Pininfarina is like the Italian design house, and they took care of the Fiat 124 Spider, and you can tell because it's beautiful. It also was fitted with a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. It got a turbo in its later years, but if you're like us, there's absolutely no way in hell that you are going to get the turbo version. Sorry. Unless you have like $50,000 to your name, but we don't. It also had 4-wheel disc brakes, which if we're talking about safety, okay, it can stop. That's great. But that's probably where the safety ends in terms of the Fiat 124 Spider because it is tiny.
It weighs what? $2,000?
Yeah, around 2,000 pounds. Later years, it got a little fat. The heaviest was like 2,200 pounds. So like, wow, that's crazy. That's a lot of weight there. Yeah, they were not big cars. So if you've ever seen an NA Miata, which I imagine a lot of you are familiar with, the Fiat 124 Spider it makes the NA Miata look gigantic. If you've seen a Suzuki Cappuccino, it's around that size. So
I didn't know it was that small. That's kind of crazy.
They're a little bit longer, but they're in the same ballpark. Yeah, they are tiny and they are not safe at all. But if you don't care about safety like me and you're an idiot like me, then you should get one because they're really fun. They're probably one of the most intuitive and in-depth driving experiences of all time.
And they get good gas.
Yeah, they do get good gas mileage. That's another thing.
I mean, I hope it gets good gas mileage because it has 89 horsepower. But
Yeah, they do. Hey, the turbo versions, which again, no one's gonna be able to afford, had like 100 something.
Wow.
They were not fast, but they handled well. And if you're the kind of guy who wants to carve through, or guy or girl, if you're the kind of guy or girl who likes to carve through canyon roads, then you just want a really serene driving experience, I think the 124 is for you. Yeah, it's definitely for me. It's probably what I'm going to end up getting for my first car. I haven't even checked what the insurance is, but it's so slow that you could probably register it as an economy car. So, there's that. And I think for our next one, Mason's going to take it away with something that is the polar opposite of the 124.
Absolutely. So now let's go on to a good decision for your first car. How about that, huh? So the Lexus LS 400. Probably one of the most basic cars, but at the same time, the most intuitive car and most well-designed boat that's ever been made. So if you don't know, the LS 400... Go. Stop interrupting me to speak, boy.
Well, it's not designed by Pininfarina, so I don't really like, whatever.
Okay, but does the 124 Spider have a V8?
If you put if you put another 4-cylinder in it, then yeah.
And then it would make what, 170 horsepower?
Around that ballpark, yeah.
So the LS400 was Lexus's first vehicle. They actually lost money on it. They just wanted to make a name for themselves. It was supposed to compete with the Mercedes S-Class and the 7 Series at the time, and it did really well. Except it's a little slower, but wasn't meant for that. It doesn't matter. So the LS400 is a big old fat sedan, kind of like a Crown Victoria, except a little more good.
And also, freaking beautiful. Oops,
it is.
Almost dropped that one.
It is. It's very pretty. It's a very minimalistic looking car, and I really like that.
Such a good design. I love the way it looks so much. I don't like the idea of having a boat for my first car, but the LS400 looks so good that I've legitimately considered it. It's so good looking. Please, if you're watching this right now, look it up. It's so good looking. It looks so good.
It's a very, very good looking car. Grant obviously really likes the LS400.
I can't talk about how the LS400 makes me feel because I'm in a relationship.
I'm not, so I can talk about it all I want. So chances are, if you get a LS400 for the first car you ever own, it'll probably be the last car you ever own as well. Not because it's unsafe, it's just because it'll outlive you. It's probably in the top 10 most reliable cars ever made. There's a couple different people with like over 1 million miles on them, and they're still just trucking along. I saw this video the other day. This guy was like cutting up traffic in an LS400 and had like 380,000 miles or something like that, and he was just ripping on it. So it's kind of a do-it-all car. You can haul all the boys around or all the girls if you're into that. And you can take them to Taco Bell or whatever, and it'll be nice and comfortable and reliable, and the sound system is really nice. And you can also rip on it a little bit because it's still a rear-wheel drive V8. You can still have some fun.
Exactly.
And they're not screaming fast by any means, but they're definitely not slow. First years had about 250 horsepower. Later years got bumped up to about 290, which is actually, it's not too bad. And they're sub 4,000 pound cars. So, still two 124 Spiders, but not too bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, the 124 Spider is probably a pretty crazy benchmark to use for weighing a car, considering how small it is. But I also want to say, like, 290, like, I think nowadays we're becoming so desensitized by all the big numbers coming out of modern cars that we forget, like, I mean, maybe this is just me trying to cope with the fact that the 124 has, like, 0 horsepower, but, like 89, 100 horsepower in itself can feel like a lot. And with a car like the Lexus LS400, like almost 300 horsepower, that's nothing to laugh about. Like, we live in a world with Mustangs that make 700 horsepower, Camaros that can carve corners at like a gajillion miles an hour, and then Challengers that just like all they care about is horsepower numbers. And those are just the American examples. So I feel like we're becoming a little desensitized. 300 horsepower is like more than enough for especially someone in our age group.
I wish my car had 300 horsepower.
Well, you drive a Ford Fusion, so.
Yeah, it's like, so I was actually thinking about this the other day. This is kind of a tangent, but so 11 years ago when it was made, it had 175 horsepower with a flywheel. So give or take, the 6-speed transmission, front-wheel drive in 11 years only has like 45,000 miles because it was a grandma's car. Literally, it was a grandma's car. And so I'm estimating it probably makes 130 at the wheels. That's probably about that, and the car weighs about 3,800 pounds, about as much as an LS400. So yeah, I would say with 290 horsepower, the Fusion would be pretty fast. Nothing crazy, but it's enough to make everyone laugh when you floor it and push you back in your seat. Comfy,
absolutely.
Nice leather seats that make your butt sweat.
I think like that's another thing, right? Is that like, we're talking about these nice cars that we could get for our first cars, particularly classic cars, because that's just kind of where our taste is. I feel like you and I can both say with reasonable confidence that our taste in cars is definitely more centered towards the classics, which, by the way, you can definitely see that reflected on the merch that you can buy on Barrett and Brown Co. But like, I think that's one of the big things is that like you don't need a car that looks really cool or is really fast or handles really well. Like you even as a car guy, I think it's more important to prioritize things that you enjoy. And if it's a car that you like, I think that's more important. Like, sure, I'm probably going to give you the stink eye if I see you rolling up in your, freaking slammed Pontiac GTO. It's not like the new GTO, not the old one. And you're acting like you're the coolest guy on the block. Or, God forbid you drive a freaking, what's it called when you put the different suspension on a truck?
A squatted truck?
Yeah, a squatted truck.
Actually, no, I actually don't have respect for you if you drive one of those. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not going to have my respect. But I will say that, like, that's your choice. That's your car.
It's a bad choice, but it's your choice. At least you like your car. And probably your cousin too. But,
exactly. like, you know what? Like, sure, I'm going to profile you based on the car that you drive. That's not that sounds bad.
That's race profiling right there.
No, that's a different kind of profiling. That's a different kind of profiling.
Well, so you
But like,
touched on modern cars. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I don't really
no,
care.
you're good. Go ahead.
So if you want a more modern car that will also be reliable and handle really well, but be really slow, but not be a 124 Spider, it's reliable. That's the difference between it and a 124 Spider. Is a Honda Fit,
Hey,
and I know what you're thinking right now.
no, Honda. Okay, yeah, cook.
Okay.
I'm listening to you.
Also, Jack has one. It's pretty sick. But Honda Fits, I don't remember the exact like context, but they have F1. They have like F1 suspension. Like their suspension is like has technology from an F1 car, and apparently they handle like beautifully. And they're like 2,400 pounds in front wheel drive. You can get them with a manual and VTEC. Like that's all you ever need. You've got a
Yeah,
little pocket rocket that sounds really cool, and you can still seat 4, and it'll last 300,000 miles.
exactly.
That's
I
a pretty
think
great
I
car
think
right
that's
there.
one reason. This is one region where Mason and I have always butted heads, and that's been the whole debate of Toyota versus Honda. I've always been a Honda boy. I feel like Mason, you're more well-rounded, and you like don't pick factions so much as I do. But I feel like we can definitely still agree that like between us, I'm the Honda one, you're the Toyota one. That's
Yeah.
like definitely pretty clear cut between us. I think that's one of the things that I'll always defend Honda about, and it's one of the things that I'm like I even see in sushi, which by the way, sushi has its own merch on Bird and Brown Co. Like
Yeah, did you know we
Honda's
make
motorsport
clothes?
heritage. What was that?
Yeah,
Yes, we do make
did you know
clothes.
we make clothes? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, you are watching the podcast of a clothing business that was founded by two teenagers. These two teenagers, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a little bit. With sushi, like you see a lot of the signs that Honda has such a long-standing heritage in motorsport, and you can definitely see that like that's when they got their big break. With all of their cars, there's a little bit of heritage in that, and I love Honda so much. I think if money was no object, I think legitimately, at least right now, I I would want an S2K for my first car. Like if I could get any car for my first car, I think I'd probably get an S2K because I love the fact that Honda like they don't race on the side. Like they are fundamentally a racing business. I love Honda so much for that.
Except not anymore, because now they only make one cool car. And they
Well,
also
excuse me.
discontinued the V6 Camry.
Honda makes engines for Formula freaking One.
Formula freaking One. Yeah, but
Cuh.
so does everybody else, basically. Like,
Like
um, doesn't Citroen
I'm
or
testing,
Renault?
bros.
Renault makes
Yes,
engines, right?
Renault makes engines for
Yeah, and
Formula
you
One.
name one cool Renault that is still in production.
That's still in production. The
Mm-hmm.
Alpine A110.
That's okay. Doesn't really count.
Yeah. Well,
Doesn't really count. It's like
what do you what do
name a cool
you? Okay.
Toyota, Lexus LFA. Actually, you know
Well,
what?
yeah,
I've probably used
I
that
would I
before
would
too.
give you that.
Okay, fine,
I would
fine, fine.
yeah, I would give you that. I'll, I'll give you that.
Okay,
Um,
I just got proven wrong.
yeah,
Now
I
I'm
would I
mad.
would yeah.
Now I'm mad.
But like and also there's Mercedes, Ferrari, and then Ford's entering in 2026, and then Audi, and then maybe Cadillac if they can get their shit together.
I just popped my
Um,
knuckle and it really hurt.
yeah, I
Listen to
heard that.
this.
Damn. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah,
First
sure.
cars.
Yeah, first cars. Talking about Formula One now.
Okay.
It's funny. All of
After
our
the Honda,
conversations.
I did two in a row. You're slacking right now.
Okay.
So next one.
Um, then let's talk about this. Is okay. So when Mason and I first started like really getting into cars, we've been into cars our entire lives, but it was around quarantine when it really started to hit, and we just like our obsession with cars just skyrocketed after that point. And I think one of the big like areas of the car community that Mason and I initially surrounded ourselves with from the get-go was the muscle car community.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's definitely where Mason and I started to develop our probably our biggest rivalry in our friendship,
French trip.
and that's GM versus Ford. Always been like super GM, and he's always been like more he's right here. Hey, Mason, you've
Yeah.
always been really Ford. You've always
I
been
have.
more Ford-y. So, which is
I'm
funny
actually sitting
because
right next to you right now.
facts, yeah, we're only like we're sitting at the same table. It's just our tables are cut in half, and the other half of the table is 3,000 miles away from me right now.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
technically we're sitting next to each other. Which is funny because I've always liked the fact that you're more into Ford than I am, even though my grandpa owned a Ford GT. But
My
it's
grandpa
whatever.
didn't. Yeah,
Yeah,
actually, he had a Corvette. He had a couple Corvettes. So
that's okay. That's kind of funny. It's funny how that worked out. Um, but when we started looking into cars, the first car that came to my mind, and I remember this is the first car that I've like ever looked at, and I was like, hell yeah, I want that car. And it was little baby me watching Transformers 2007, and it was Bumblebee as a 1977 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, and I was like, damn, that is the coolest car ever. I love that thing so much. And that's one of the big things that got me into cars. And to this day, I'm still searching for one to get for my first car. Um, they are slow. They're gas crisis cars, so they're not good at all as in terms of gas mileage, and they're not good in terms of horsepower. But it had the Chevy 350, so it was reliable. It was loud. It was carbureted, which means it sounded really good, even for a V8. And it was, comfortable because it had that little floaty old muscle car suspension. And it was also, I'm gonna take a jab at the second gen Mustang here. It was the best car. It was the best muscle car on the market at the time. Best pony car, best muscle car,
oh
whatever you
yeah, in
want
the
to say.
'70s, definitely.
Yeah, the Camaro like triumphed the 70s. That like the second gen Camaro was leagues above everyone else. And I just loved the car so much. And it also gave way to the second gen Firebird, which was in Smokey and the Bandit. That car has so much legacy, and I feel like people overlook it all the time. And it's kind of sad because like it's literally Bumblebee. It's literally the car from Smokey and the Bandit. Like, like these are two really big names, and it's such a good car, so reliable. You were talking about how you've seen a Lexus LS 400 with 1,000,000 miles before. I've also seen a 77 Camaro with around that number. I think it was like 900,000 miles or something like that. These cars, the Chevy 350 was indestructible, and the build quality of this thing was amazing. I just don't understand why it's so unpopular nowadays, considering like what it's done and what it's been through and what it sparked even more. But for me, it's the Camaro. But there's definitely one car that you mentioned earlier that you've been looking at, and that is
That is.
the Galaxy.
Oh yeah. I remember.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you take when you take? What do you get? What do you get when you take an Impala, basically an Impala, or maybe a DeVille, and put a Ford badge on it and put a 351 Cleveland in it and call it a day? Well, you get the Galaxy, and it's pretty cool. It's like 4,900 pounds or something like that. It's an absolutely massive car. Like, it's terrible gas mileage, handles awful. Probably not the most reliable. Actually, well, if you get like a if you get a 289, then it'll probably be reliable. But if you get anything else, it probably won't be. But that doesn't matter. Basically, it's an awful car that I really want to own because it looks really cool and it sounds really cool. So
Yeah.
I don't really know too much about it just because I haven't really put in the time to research it. But I know it was basically a big Fairlane, if anyone knows what that is. It's a lot of old guys talk about it. Last time I went to a car show.
Fairlanes are awesome.
Fairlanes are very cool. I think actually this
Are we
might
about
be a
to?
lie. This might be a lie. I might be straight up false information, but I think they're a similar platform to the Mustang, which might not be true.
I will probably not put text up on the screen because that sounds like a lot of work. But look it up yourself, guys. You're on the
Ain't
internet
nobody
already.
looking that up. But
Yeah.
I think Ford and Chevy were both doing really good in the 60s. Like, I
Yeah,
want
that
a
was heyday.
69 or 67 Impala really bad.
I want the 69 too, but we're not going to talk about that.
What?
I want a 69 Camaro. That's what I meant to say. Go
Okay, yeah,
on.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay. Anywho,
I'm gonna find that out.
I'm kind of recently been getting into like 50s cars a lot with the big old wangs and stuff, or the big old fins, I
Mhm.
guess you should call them.
Yeah,
And like, they're all like 20,000 feet long, and they'll
and then
have
you need to get a pompadour.
no, the long hair's staying. I'm sorry. I need to live out my dreams as basically a rock star from the 80s, except I don't know how to play the guitar.
Yeah,
And well, I need those spiky boots too.
the spiky boots, absolutely.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So when it comes to classic cars, they kind of suck to own, but they're also way cooler than a new car. And I'm pretty sure now this might just be me being a delusional 17-year-old, but when I'm an adult and I have money, there's no way I'm driving a brand new car every day. That's just not happening. Like, new cars are way more boring than old cars. Like, I would rather if someone offered me a brand new M5 and a 67 Impala SS with a 4-speed, and they're like, you got to daily drive one of them, I'd probably pick the M5. But if I could pick both, I would pick both, and I'd drive them like 50%, both like 50% of the time.
Okay,
But
yeah,
listen, I put up some
you,
difficult competition.
bro,
Okay.
you just tried to prove your point, and then you.
Yeah, but then I thought about it. I was like, I really want an M5.
Okay, well,
If someone offered me a brand new Cadillac and a 67 Impala SS with 4-speed, I'd pick the Impala.
yeah, but I think like another big thing that we could say is that like take cars that have remained timeless, like the Porsche 911, for example. If you give me the option between like a 70s 911 turbo and a brand new 911 turbo, I mean, I'll be honest, it'd be a hard choice, but I would go with the classic one. Like, I think it's just like old cars have such a raw driving experience that most modern cars just can't replicate because everything's been so cushioned down.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Apple CarPlay touchscreens and freaking like everything beeps at you when you like just touch like the edge of a lane by accident. Just
Yeah.
like, wait, you're gonna die. Everything's gonna blow up now. Oh my god. Like old cars force you to pay attention. And so it makes you enjoy the driving experience more.
Except for
Like
Bluetooth would stay. I wouldn't do that.
Bluetooth, yeah. I'm definitely gonna be getting an old car, and the first thing I'm gonna do to it is install Bluetooth on it. I'm gonna like tear out the ECU and put a new one in because we're
I
not
think
doing
well,
that
all you
shit.
need to do is I think you just need to get a Bluetooth stereo, right?
Yeah.
Oh, but you'll need a
Um,
micro. Well, I mean, unless you're not going to take calls, because if you
if
take
if
calls,
the
then
if the
it'll be fun. But
if the amperage is different, then you'll need to rework the battery
well, I
system.
know you can buy. Like, I looked this up when I was really big into the Galaxy. I was like, classic looking stereo with Bluetooth, and it's a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think both of us are probably gonna do that like the moment we get our cars. Um, but yeah, like I feel like just like modern cars feel so insulated from the world now. You can tell that most car manufacturers are trying to give into a market that just wants to be completely insulated from the outside world. And I just don't really understand that because like how can you like want that? You are exploring the world. Even if you're on your daily commute, there's always something new to see. This morning, I take TriMet because I don't have a car and my motorcycle doesn't run. Um, I take TriMet. This morning, I saw a DeLorean, an old one, not a new one, which I don't like. I probably would have been just as excited because the new DeLorean is also like super rare. But like I saw the Back to the Future car in person for the second time. I had already seen it before, but I didn't get a good look. This time around, I did get a good look, and I was so happy. And that put a huge smile on my face all the way down to the 1 mile walk to my school from the bus stop. Like just that. Like I don't understand how you could want to be insulated from the world when there's so much cool stuff happening around us that you miss when you're just sitting on your phone mindlessly scrolling reels. This is very quickly not going to be about cars anymore because I'm very passionate about.
I was about to add to that. We, as kind of a society, are moving away. We're trying to be more insulated from each other. Like with the new, whatever the Apple, I think it's Apple Vision or whatever it is.
Oh
Like,
yeah, the
that's
freaking like
scary. Like, that is
yeah,
Like the fact
Like
that you
this
don't even
is
need to
Cyberpunk
leave your house or
2077.
see the real world ever again, you can still live just fine, is like absurd if you think
Scary.
about it.
Yeah, I just like I don't understand how we can be actually moving in this direction. And I think we're definitely going to do an episode more about this in the future, about like the future of cars and why it's like not looking good right
Yeah, it's
now.
pretty grim.
It's like I have a lot to say about it, and I think Mason does too. Yeah.
Future car
Uh,
or future just as a whole is looking pretty crazy. Might have
yeah.
to buy an old Komatsu D355A and some
Mhm.
concrete
Yeah.
for in Minecraft, of course.
In Minecraft. Yeah, that's what we meant to say. Yeah. Um, but yeah, we're definitely gonna make an episode about that in the future for sure.
Just for fun, should we do best first electric car?
Um,
Well, I mean, you can't really even afford. Actually, well, you can get a Nissan Leaf. They're actually kind of
thanks.
cool. I rode in one. It felt like a go kart.
Yeah, I mean they're cool.
I mean, they're
Um,
not cool, but for an electric car, they are.
they've got a charm.
That's one way to
You
put
know,
it.
they've like that. You know that one student in like that one class,
Who's
like
autistic?
you just know like that's the weird one. But you know they've got a little charm. Like
I think
oh
you're just kind of describing yourself.
yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about you. I was like, this guy's really weird, but he's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, we were actually. I don't think I want to promote the origins of our friendship because we had a cringy start. But what was I saying? Oh yeah.
We should talk about the two Mercedes that we like from the '80s. I'm a '90s
Yes.
baby. My
Mason
'80s
and I.
Mercedes. Sorry.
Okay, we're gonna have a flashback here. Grant from the future, if you can remember to put a dramatic sound effect in. If not, then
Here, I'll
just
make it.
imagine
I'll make
it
the
just
dramatic sound effect.
yeah, we're time traveling now. We are in the 1990 something season
1992.
of sure. I don't know if the 190E existed in its full form at that point yet, but
But
yeah, we're in a 90s season of DTM. The BMW E30 and the Audi whatever the hell is dominating the scene. And then Mercedes rolls up and they're like, "Hey, look, we've got a car that looks like all of our other cars, but this one's got an inline 6 in it." And they're like, "What? It's an inline 6 Mercedes? Holy shit, we've never heard of that before." And then it just dominated DTM. It kicked everyone's ass and then left. Like what? Huh? Okay. And that was that was the 190E. That's how it got its start. It was fundamentally at that point, and I know Mason's gonna hop onto the scene here with his car, which is made around the same time. And then the history of the 190E became clearer, and it started to show that Mercedes had made a masterpiece. I'm a little bit biased towards the 190E because I'm biased towards Mercedes, and I'm biased towards inline sixes because the inline six is probably one of my favorite engine configurations, like period. I it's up there. It's definitely up there for me. And like the 190E characterizes itself as probably like the perfect Mercedes in my eyes. It had all the
Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Continue.
that's crazy. Um like the 190E, it had all the comfort and amenities of a Mercedes, but it also had crazy performance. It was way ahead of its time. And then the Evo 2 came, or the Evo and the Evo 2 came out, and that like dream car territory for me. Holy crap, such a good looking car. And it was an actual thoroughbred race car. The 190E was amazing, and I want one so bad, but like I really want to do an Evo body kit on it, but also that feels weird because I know it wouldn't actually be an Evo, so I'd have to justify doing that to myself. I don't know. I have a complicated relationship with the 190E because when I think of the 190E, I think of the cool one. The original 190E is cool too, but we all won the race car, so. But Mason Mercedes was also building another car at the time, which was just about as indestructible as the 190E,
More
but
indestructible. More indestructible.
it was it was
Better in every way.
fundamentally built for a different purpose, and it was not better in every single way because if we were to race them, the 190E would smoke it every single time.
No. All right, let's
Yeah,
talk about the
yeah.
Porsche designed better car,
It
basically
was
a
not. No, it
190E.
was not designed. Nope, it was not
Yeah,
designed by
yeah.
Porsche. It was
Literally,
not
the
designed
car
by
was
Porsche.
not finished in a
It was
Mercedes
built.
factory.
It was built by Porsche because they couldn't fit it down the production line.
Yeah.
They did not design
built
it.
Porsche, basically a Porsche. It's not, but anyway. So 190E, but for men. The
Oh,
W124, specifically the 500E, because that's like peak W124. Basically one of the best sedans ever made.
I would say
So,
probably one of the best cars ever made.
yeah, I
Just
agree.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
take a 190E, make it bigger, give it a proper engine, that being a V8, give it monoblocks and some badass headlight wipers, and then you
Mm-hmm.
basically have a W124. So that became the E-Class, and so it was like a mid-sized sedan. It's actually pretty small nowadays. I've seen one in real life. They're pretty
Yeah.
minuscule. But here's why it's better than the 190E, right?
Was this design?
Hold on. Let me say my piece. Sounds better because it has V8. Looks better
Yeah.
because it's bigger. Has better
Wrong.
proportions. Came with monoblocks. Handled probably similarly well, especially if you got a 500E or an AMG. Way faster in a straight line, by the way. Had a nicer interior because it was a upscaled car. More reliable. A hell of a lot safer. And it's also literally a mafia drug dealer boss car. So that's why it's better. And
Well,
it has the little thing, the little button where if you push it, the headrest and the back seat drop down. So it's basically a race car.
okay. Well,
And also its brother, the W140. If Pagani used the V12 from the W140 in the first generation Pagani, whatever it was. So
yeah.
there you go.
I don't I don't keep up to date with Pagani that much, but I'll take your word for it. I know Pagani loves to use their Mercedes engines, so that checks out. But thing is, right? First of all, the handling thing, I'm just gonna call you out on it. Ain't no way in hell, bro.
You're telling me not like a 190, not an Evo 2, but just a basic 190E handles better than an AMG W124.
Yeah, because the 190E was a ground up race car. It was
Was
built
it?
for racing. Yes.
It was
It
built
was
for
built
racing.
it was built for racing, yes.
You're telling me, hold
Look,
on, you'll need to
that's
put the photo there.
the aerodynamic profile of the 190E. It was built for racing.
Okay, but that doesn't mean it handles better. You're telling me a C200 W201 is going to handle better than a W124 AMG, whatever it's called. The E60
Yeah.
AMG.
Yeah, because the AMG had a fundamentally different purpose. And my
Yeah,
dog is
go ahead.
breaking into my room. Bye bye. Bye bye. I'm gonna have to cut that shit out. God fucking damn it, bro.
Anywho.
Fucking dogs. Okay. All right.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I
Handling,
am saying.
schmandling. What even? Whatever.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I am saying.
it has a proper engine, a better Mercedes engine. It has better styling. Has monoblocks. I can't stress this enough. Has monoblocks.
Yeah.
Has headlight wipers. Wait, did the
Yes.
W201 have headlight wipers?
I actually don't know.
Because the 190E is a W201, right? Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it did not. So it's a beta car. It's also a compact car, which I don't think I've ever seen a man with a huge penis drive a compact car.
Probably
That's just
because
me.
because
But
you don't have a penis.
well, I do, and I don't drive a compact car. It's a mid-sized car.
Okay.
Anywho, so basically, the reason why it's better is because it's bigger, it's faster, looks cooler, sounds cooler, is cooler, has cooler wheels, has monoblocks, more reliable, really, really durable, and I think it was in a cool movie too, but I don't really know.
But also, the other thing, you can't get a 500e for your first car because they're not
You can't.
affordable.
Well, I can get a 400e. They're basically the same car.
Mm. What?
Also, the W124 was also in DTM.
Was it?
Never mind, no, it wasn't. I lied. But they made
Yeah, I
a
was
drift
gonna.
wagon.
That's a big ass car for DTM. Like,
It's
okay.
actually not that big. It's the same size as a new Honda Civic.
Well, like DTM in the days, you have to keep in mind, like DTM was
The
911s
Red
and
Pig was an E-Class, by the way. So basically, the 124 and the Red Pig are basically the same car.
Mhm. I think, yeah, we were talking about first cars, but I think this is a great opportunity while we're arguing about Mercedes, like we tend to do a lot, to talk about Barrett and Brown Co. Now, you are 45 minutes into this podcast, roughly,
45
and you
minutes,
will
20
see,
seconds.
yeah, something like that. You are roughly 45 minutes into this podcast, and you may have noticed that that and and I'm so glad I'm going to edit this. And you may notice that the background of this video has a Barrett and Brown logo in the back of it. That's because that this is the official co-founders podcast of Barrett and Brown. B&B is a clothing company designed for car enthusiasts. We go through Printful from our manufacturing, which ensures the highest quality stuff. It also means that we have partnerships with company. It also means that we have partnerships with companies like Adidas. So we have the highest quality stuff. But what separates us from what separates us from the competition is the fact that we are much more efficient in terms of eco-friendliness and humane practices. All of our factories have to be vetted by Printful, which means that everything is produced in a humane, friendly environment under eco-friendly conditions. Free shipping is standard on all of our products, and that does mean that it takes a little bit longer for us to produce the product for you and ship it. However, you buy the product and that's it. You never have to worry about anything until you get it. And we can guarantee you that you will be satisfied with your product because we have to vet every single thing that gets ordered through the website when we get it. Also, we lose money on all of our sales, but we love this company, and that's why it still exists. So yeah, you should buy Barrett and Brown Co. because we care more about delivering a quality product to you than we do about actually. Yeah, our profit margin on hoodies, which are our number one sellers, is around $3, and then we split that between us, and usually we lose that $3 anyway. So
we can buy a pack of gum if you buy us a hoodie. So think about it like this.
Yeah.
Instead of think about it like this. You buy us a $40 pack of gum, and you get a free hoodie in the process.
That's exactly. Yeah. Let's say it like that. Yeah. So if you want our breath to smell good, make sure to buy Barrett and Brown Co.
This is great.
I just ate dinner. I just ate dinner, so I'd like my breath to smell good right now too. So go check the link in the description and buy Barrett and Brown Co. Everything's designed and vetted by us. So enjoy. Now back to the show. And that was a Donut Media.
Okay.
That was a Donut Media reference.
I just saw a YouTube video of a W124 500E versus a 190E Evo, I think, or whatever the performance version is, and I almost said the Mercedes smoked it.
Yo.
Yeah, the 500E one.
Well, yeah, no shit. It's a drag. Anyway,
you know what? Drag racing car.
It's a straight line test. V8, bro. It's a V8 and an inline six, and a V8 is bred for power, and the inline six is bred for corner performance. Oh my!
Okay, whatever you say. Just admit it. The
I will admit
W124
that
is
the
a real
500
man's
is
car.
faster in a straight line.
Mm-hmm. And it looks better, and it has better proportions.
I would.
And it sounds better.
Well, yeah, I'll give it those things.
So the only thing the
But
W201
the
has
Evo 2,
over the W124 is that it turns better.
it is a race car. It
Kinda.
is literally a race car.
So you're telling me
It is not.
you buy a basic W201 and it's gonna be a race car?
Yes.
No. No. It's gonna be a
We got
compact
124.
Mercedes from the 80s. That
The
rhymes.
124 Spider competed in Group 4 essentially as it was. In Group 4 in the
Well, you
70s
just said the
had cars
124
like,
Spider.
yes, I did. The
What?
124 Spider competed in Group 4 in the 70s against cars like, I don't know, the Lancia Stratos. It is slow as shit and it's convertible, but it is definitely a friggin' race car. It is a
Okay.
race car.
But it has all the race car stuff taken off of it.
It's got independent suspension, four-wheel disc brakes, and
Okay. Every car had that in the 80s. Every luxury
not every
car
car
had
had
that in
that
the
in the
80s.
60s.
Okay, but I thought we were talking
Yeah.
about the freaking W201.
Well, I'm talking about the 124 now because it's an
Because you
example
lost the
of.
argument on the W201.
No, I'm using it as an example to
Mhm.
support my claim about the
Okay.
190.
Okay,
Yeah.
continue. So what
I
technologies did the W201 have?
I don't aerodynamics. This air.
Let's look it up. Let's look it up. W201 aero drag
The aero
coefficient.
philosophy of the 120 of the 190 inspired the W124.
Hold on, let's see this.
Or
The
maybe it didn't.
W124 has a better drag coefficient.
Because it was built after the
Was
190,
it?
after they found out what the 190 had. Yes. See, I know what I'm talking about, bro. Damn.
Let's see.
Okay.
Years. 1982. Okay. It was made
Yeah.
1 year after. They didn't do all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, okay. So
Yeah.
the W124, it literally says right here, I looked up W124 drag coefficient, and the first result was the W124 was the perfect Mercedes.
Because yeah. I'm just saying I like the 190 even more. Also, this is a podcast about first cars, so if you don't mind, let's get back to talking
W124
about.
E400 is a great first car because it's got a V8. It turns well. It cruises well. It's
Shit does
reliable.
not
Sounds good.
shit does
And
not turn well.
what have you driven one?
Have you?
Yeah. It's a
Cap.
300D though.
Same car, same thing.
I mean, it is the same car. It just has a third the horsepower.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
good car. You should buy one. I want to buy one too.
Yes, yes. Mercedes is great, guys, and you should get a Mercedes for your first car.
Or a BMW.
But
BMWs are good too. I like
no,
BMWs. Yes.
you know what?
Very
Okay,
good.
tell them about the last good car that BMW has built.
G80 M3, still in production.
You did not just say the G8. No,
It's a great car.
no,
Freaking
it is
500 horsepower.
on
Stick
the inside,
shift if you want.
dude. The BMW M4 is the pinnacle of like
The M. It's the same car as the M3.
no
Except it's a coupe.
that the modern the G80. Like it's giving me a headache thinking about it because I just have like its horrible face. Like
Honestly, it grew on me. I don't mind it anymore.
it grew on you like the friggin' like the plague is growing on BMW right now.
Okay. So we have. So you said the G80 M3 is still a good car, even if you don't like how the front looks.
I think yeah. We'll have to see how the reliability works out in like long term.
It's a BMW. It's a BMW. Of course, it's not gonna be reliable. It's a brand new BMW.
Yeah,
No new Mercedes is reliable. No new car is reliable.
We're gonna talk about
They only
that in
last
our future.
40,000 miles and the warranty's up. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
we're
BMW
gonna talk
still
about
makes good
that
cars.
in our future of the automotive industry episode. But yeah, I just like I like it's good. It's a good car, but BMW has completely lost their way. You know what? That's going to be another one of our episodes. We're going to make an episode about the legacy of the German car industry because I want to talk more about the big three in Germany.
Your thoughts on BMW actually made me yawn. So there you go.
I haven't even said anything yet.
I know.
Damn.
It's just the idea of you talking about BMW moving me on. Anywho,
That's
we're talking about first cars.
yeah. If you want a good first car that is a BMW, then we should talk about the BMW E24.
If you can afford it.
If you can afford it. Yeah.
Probably the best looking BMW ever made, besides the
Uh,
E9.
and the 507.
If you're into that.
What do you mean if you're into that, Co?
If you look up best looking BMW, I think the E24 is the first result. Let me see.
Best looking BMW. Yes, it is the first result. But also the BMW i8 is next.
Okay.
So.
Well, actually, it's the front of the i8 is good. Just the rear isn't. Anywho, E24 is a luxury cruiser car that also handles pretty well because it's got 50-50 weight distribution. It's got an inline six that is powerful enough to move the car forward with haste.
with haste.
But don't expect to, beat a Honda Odyssey. You know the new Honda Odyssey has a 0 to 60 of 5.8 seconds?
That's kind of crazy.
That
See,
is
that's
kind
what
of
I'm
crazy.
saying. Honda is the GOAT, dude.
But speed isn't everything, especially with an E24, because you got a 5-speed, you got a long hood with an old BMW, you got the 80s interior. Everything kind of squeaks a little bit. It's all leather, but if you punch the dashboard, you'll break your hand.
Exactly. If you punch the dashboard in a modern BMW, you're not just going to break the dashboard, you're going to break the engine as well, because the engine will just have it. Yeah, yeah. The engine and the warranty will simultaneously have a mental breakdown. They're going to have an anxiety attack.
Will it be the most reliable car on planet Earth? No, but it's not going to be not reliable, especially if you bought it from an old guy, which is probably what all E24s are owned by.
Yeah.
I really want an E24, but sometimes I don't want them when I read some reviews.
When you get the post BMW clarity, you're like you're within the vicinity of a BMW. You're within the vicinity of a BMW, and you could just feel like owning one of these is not a good idea.
But I really honestly think it wouldn't be that bad. I think it'd be fine. It's got an M30. I bet you some of the 80s technology would fail. Like I bet you, I don't know, the tilt mirrors or whatever would probably not work. But I don't really care. And it's got an inline six and a 5-speed. That's right up your alley, and mine too.
Yes,
It'd be better if I had a V8 though.
Well, I there is one thing, like I like old BMW. I hate modern BMW because of my experience with car design. Like I've seen firsthand, like under the surface, like why they are fundamentally bad looking cars, and I just hate the fact that they've been like this for like 20 years now. But like old BMW is amazing, but I just can't shake the fact that there's this one guy in my automotive class who I really don't like. Like I don't like him. And he owns an E90 BMW, and literally it has a new problem every single week. I'm not exaggerating.
That's what happens when you buy an E90.
Yeah, like every week it has something new that's wrong with it. The last class for reference, because I know not every school has this. My school has a separate building that basically it's like an automotive workshop. And so one of my classes is an elective credit, and it's an automotive class, and it's the coolest thing ever. And guys can bring in their own cars, and that's how this guy brings in his car. Anyway, so last class, he brings in his BMW, and just out of nowhere, huge plume of smoke, and it literally pissed itself. Like coolant was everywhere. It had a nervous breakdown walking into the automotive shop. and it just happened. Like he got out of his car and he was just awestruck because it just like, okay, cool. My car just pissed itself. That's awesome.
Welcome, what was it? An N54 or an N55? I'm kind of a BMW guy, so welcome to the ownership of an N54 engine.
Yeah, it's just they're just not.
I'll tell you what, you want a good first car, get an inline six E39 5 Series, especially station wagon. Dude, that thing will last forever. And they look cool.
that you can count on. Yeah, absolutely. And that is back when BMW was making good-looking cars.
Yeah,
We'll
the
probably make
E39 is hot.
There's probably going to be an episode one of these days where I go more in depth about my thoughts about car design, and I imagine BMW is definitely going to get mentioned in that. So I think you can count on one of our future episodes. We're going to go in depth about why BMW has experienced such a significant fall from grace and why their old cars are probably up there with some of the best looking cars ever made, and why I love old BMW and why new BMW makes me ashamed to even own an old BMW.
Okay, so I just looked up worst first cars. You know what the first result is?
What?
Honda S2000.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
Do you know what
Why?
the second result is though?
What?
A Lamborghini Countach.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. I think it's okay. You know what? I'm gonna
They
use
probably
that.
oversteer a lot. You'd think.
Well, of course, S2K is oversteer. That's like their philosophy.
Okay.
But
S2K,
like,
Mazda Speed 3, Volkswagen Beetle.
my mom had a Beetle for her first car. It was
Okay,
blue, and
50
she named it.
horsepower is probably yeah.
I'm just gonna.
ZL11LE makes sense.
Yeah.
Can't see out
That
of them.
also like that's a
Dodge
lot of
Ram
horsepower for the
SRT10.
first car.
I want an SRT10. Those are sick.
Yeah.
Shelby Cobra 930 turbo. My dad had one of those with 800 horsepower on the wheels.
Yes, it was red. It's really cool.
That was very Carrera GT. Yeah, fair.
I think this
Hummer
is just
H1. I would
named.
if someone offered me an H1 for my first car, I'd be like, absolutely.
I mean, technically, in the Marines, an H1 could end up being technically my first car. Because that'll be the first thing that I drive.
Okay. Number 21 worst car ever for first cars is a Daewoo
I think it's just
Leganza.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I think that's just. I think Google's just pulling up a list of cars that are notoriously difficult to drive. Carrera GT,
No, this
930,
is a Road and Track article.
Really?
Yeah.
The fuck is Road and Track thinking? Of course, a Carrera GT isn't a good first car. You can't get one.
Yeah, but if someone offered me one, I would drive it. I'd probably die.
That's like remember, kids, don't buy a 20-bedroom mansion for your first house.
Why not?
Okay.
Got the money.
Yeah.
Although, again, if I had the money to buy a Countach for my first car, I'd buy a Countach. It's literally my wallpaper.
Yeah. Well, we're getting around the hour mark.
Yeah. How are you so good at time? It just became an hour.
Because my internal clock is
all right.
amazing.
Just shut up. I don't care anymore.
Okay. Well. Yeah. So I think we're gonna cut this short. But I do want to say, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This is kind of an experiment on our end. We've been struggling with, drawing attention to Barrett and Brown recently. And we think that this podcast could be a great way to introduce ourselves to the community and kind of make ourselves more present in B&B, other than just shadows behind the social media accounts. So if you guys like this content, I'm not going to give you the whole spiel about leaving a comment and liking, but if you've been on YouTube. Yeah, you know the drill. Like I'm not going to walk you through this. This isn't a how-to video. You get how-to videos every single time you watch one of these things. But if you like it, then just stay tuned for more. I'm not going to tell you to ring the bell because you already know to do that. But if I mention it, then maybe you'll remember. So, I hope you guys have a good one. And
we'll see you next time. Well, I'm not going to see you. I actually don't hope I see you. Because I saw you be scary.
Yeah.
I'm not good at talking to people in person.
You are like 10 times the extrovert that I am. But,
yeah, true. Because I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Bye!